Welcome to the Firehouse. I'm your host, Captain Kyle Smith. You're responding down the road less traveled en route to financial freedom. If you're a first responder, then planning your future through financial literacy is a minimum requirement. This isn't financial advice, just a conversation to get your wheels turning. Ready? Good, because you're at sea. What's up, everyone? It's Captain Kyle Smith. This week I sat down for a morning meeting with Fairfax County, Virginia Firefighter Patrick Di Cesare. Patrick is aggressively cutting line on the path towards financial independence and he shares all of the methods that he uses to get there. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hi, hey Patrick, welcome to the bullpen. Thanks for meeting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. I reached out to you via social media, saw that you're in the same line of work as I am, across the country, of course, but you're also very interested in the personal finance space. And so I'm excited to get into your first alarm. But before we get into that, how have things related to the pandemic affected you guys out there in Fairfax County?
Oh man, I mean, it's affected everything. There's been outbreaks, as I'm sure you guys have had, obviously, outbreaks, in the community and outbreaks in the fire department. My station itself actually had 5 cases, myself included. But whether it's the PPE we have to wear, we have to put on the whole, goggles and, gown and N95 mask for every call now. And, it's created staffing shortages, with people, having to take care of loved ones or, being, out with COVID. I mean, name it. I mean, it's affected it. It's definitely changed the way, we've had to do things, as I'm sure it has with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, we were all scrambling for PPE and we were really short. We couldn't find anywhere that had the N95s. We couldn't find anybody that had enough goggles for us. And a friend of mine, actually, who's the owner and CEO of Knockaround Sunglasses, Adam Moyer, I recently had him on the morning meeting. He actually donated 5,000 safety glasses to our department because we were so short. But it's
Wow, awesome.
like we're getting to the other side of this thing. We're sort of starting to open up. We're getting back to some sense of normalcy. And with that, I think like it's just helping everybody take a deep breath and sort of get back to regular life a little bit. But that's cool, man. Well, you ready to get in your first alarm?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, out here, Patrick, a first alarm assignment consists of 4 engines and a truck. But here at the Firehouse, I'll ask you 4 questions. You give us 1 piece of advice. Sound good?
All right. Sounds
All right.
good. Fire away.
Here we go. Well, you're going to be first in on your first alarm. And when you're first in, you have to give a size up. So that's who you are, where you work, and how long you've been doing it.
So my name is Patrick Di Cesare. I work with Fairfax County Fire and Rescue. I've been there for about 7 years. I was a firefighter for about 5 of those years, and I was just recently promoted to apparatus technician, which is a full-time engine driver. Um, it's been a great experience. I love every minute of it. But you know, what I noticed was, there's just no teaching firefighters or the public in general about financial literacy. So I saw a void, in that department. And what I did was I started a social media page on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok called Basic Financial Literacy. And the goal of that is just educating people on, investing, uh, responsible credit card use, just being responsible with money in general. And I've gotten really good growth through Instagram. I'm almost at 7,000 followers now. And, I feel like I've helped a lot of people, which has been great. But, the end goal is to hopefully, make books and courses and just trying to help as many people as I possibly can. And yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's interesting because we've kind of been leading these parallel lives. Me out here on the West Coast, you out there on the East Coast, just trying to help people learn the basics. And for me, it's the genesis for me was I just got tired of making so many mistakes that I knew had already been made. And we come to this line of work in the fire service with most of us with not that much financial education or financial literacy. And I saw a void in our niche. So for me, it's about getting that education to firefighters and first responders. But, I think in general, it's an area that's not that well understood. But like, how did that come across your plate? Like, why did you start in this? How did your journey towards financial independence begin?
Okay. So, I mean, when I think about, financial independence, they really didn't teach us a whole lot about it. In high school, and I think back to recruit school, you're doing push-ups, you're running around, and, just jammed in there somewhere in the first, few days is a little like 15, 20-minute retirement talk. And, if you actually look and you see what T. Rowe Price, which is our retirement provider, puts us in, it's a target date fund with like a 0.75% fee, which, you say 0.75% and you're like, oh, well, that's nothing. Who cares? But that can actually end up costing you, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the long term, as opposed to just putting it in a low cost index fund. And I didn't really realize any of that until I started, reading up on some financial books. Like I started listening to Dave Ramsey podcasts. I read "I Will Teach You to Be Rich" by Ramit Sethi, and there's also a former firefighter from my department that started a podcast called Rock on the Money. His name's Craig Lukey, and he hasn't really been doing the podcast as much recently. And when I saw that drop off, I saw somewhere, where I could, kind of pick up where he left off and hit the ground running. And that's kind of how I started into educating people on financial literacy.
Oh, that's awesome. And that piece about, it seems like such a small amount of fee, point, whatever you said, 0.075 or 0.75%. But gosh, over the course of a 20-year career, that is just eating into your returns like no other. And you can check out a variety of different compounding interest calculators on the internet. The San Diego tax team has a great one on their website that I've linked to before. And just when you see that built out over time, it's just staggering, and it just crushes you. But the problem is that, like you said, you don't get very much education in the academy. It's like maybe a 20-minute talk while your head is thinking about hose lays, your head's thinking about how to throw ladders, how to, where the fire stations are even located in your city. You're not thinking about these sort of things. But if you can just spend another 20 minutes the following day learning a little bit more about compounding interest, if you can learn a little bit more the next day after that about how instead of a target date fund, you just go into an index fund, then you're just going to be, it becomes like a snowball where you start to learn a little bit more and you've really realized how much you're leaving on the table. So I'm really happy you said that.
Yeah.
So if that's all you got in the academy, like where are you at today? Where are you at along your journey, along your path?
So I'm lucky enough that I've never really been in debt because I've always had a job. I went to college, and my parents were wise. They had a 529 plan, which is a college plan, kind of like a 401k, where you can put aside money to save your kids' college. So that was all paid off, and that really gave me a nice leg up. And I started. I didn't start out in the fire service right out of college. I had a job with a defense contractor, Northrop Grumman. You're probably pretty familiar with them in San Diego with all the shipbuilding you got out there. But yeah, I worked with them. I started my 401k with them, and I didn't really contribute anything to it because I was like you said earlier, whatever, that's future me's problem. So I was contributing whatever the minimum was, like 3%. And I'm just like, God, if I had only been contributing, what I am now, I put about 20% in my 457 now. If I'd been doing that for the last, 10 years, since this bull run started in the stock market, like it's mind boggling how well I could have done.
Yeah, man, that's it's true. And I want to just circle back to what a bull run in a stock market actually is, if you just define that for us. But before we get there, the 529 plan, guys, those are education plans that you can set money aside for your children, your spouse, whoever. And what it does is it helps reduce your taxable income for that tax year, which is great. That's one huge benefit of it. But the caveat to that is that money has to be allocated towards qualified educational expenses. And so that's things like tuition and books, housing, food, room and board, that sort of stuff. But the 529 is a great way of saving for college and reducing your taxable income. But yeah, just circling back, can you just, Patrick, explain to us what a bull run in a market is?
So yeah, if you look at a long-term stock market chart, it pretty much always goes up, right? But there's dips and valleys and peaks in that chart. And the big crash from 2008 to 2009, when the housing crisis really struck, a lot of people lost a lot, and a lot of people panic sold. And if they did that, I mean, they're really hurting now. But to your question, what a bull run is a prolonged period of the stock market going up. So this is over years. And if you look at a stock market chart from about 2009 to now, it's pretty consistently on an upward trend. Now that we had the COVID crash last year, but you know a lot of people again panic sold because you saw drops of like 10 or 12% in the stock market in one day, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, is this where I should be keeping my money? And the people that did that, they lost out on one of the best buying opportunities of our generation, because it went down about 30%. And what's it up now? About 50%, 60% since then. I don't even know what it's at now. But a bull run is, I mean, we've been in one since, I guess, 2009 now. And a lot of people are just watching and thinking, when is this going to end? Should I get out?
Yeah, that's really well said. And the thing about stock market investing, or investing in general, Patrick, and this is my opinion, and it's shared by lots of others, way smarter than me, is you have to figure out a way to take the emotion out of it, right? And to avoid the panic selling, like we saw everybody doing last year, or back in 2008, 2009 during the crash. Take the emotion out of it. People are driven by two primary emotions: greed and fear. And what you see during a crash is people motivated by fear. And so the way to mitigate that, and I posted on my Instagram account recently about this, is through dollar cost averaging. If you just dollar cost average, it takes all the fear or greed out of the equation. And so when the market drops down, you're still buying. When the market goes up, you're still buying. So as Patrick's saying here, markets over time tend to go up. If you look at the history of the stock market since the 20s, it looks like a relatively consistent upward trend. And so if you get out of it because you're too scared and you miss out on this huge bull run like he's talking about, you're going to be really, really sore about it.
To piggyback on what you were saying a little bit, I actually did a post about this recently. Fidelity did a study back in 2013 about who the best investors, like the investors with the best returns over time were. And they found that the people that had done the best were either dead or just completely forgot about their accounts. So what's that say about stock market investing? It says less is more, constantly buying and selling. People that do that, whether it's, switching funds or day trading, picking individual stocks, the longer you do that, statistics show the more likely you are to lose money. So I just thought that was really telling that, people that were dead were on average the best investors. That was just crazy to me.
Yeah, no, that confirmed. I mean, I saw that same thing, but that confirms it's time in the market is far more valuable than trying to time the market. Now, looking back, Patrick, over the course of the last several years here, I'm sure it hasn't always been rosy. I'm sure you haven't always been as squared away as you are now. Do you have a favorite mistake that you can lean on that either helped you grow or you learned from, or it made you say, you know what, no, this is enough. I'm going to pick myself up. I'm going to get this thing figured out. Is there something that you look at to, just help you along the path?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be into, like I mentioned, day trading a lot. And what I mean by day trading is, picking individual stocks, like whether that's Apple, Microsoft, whatever, and, trying to time the market. And timing the market, unfortunately, doesn't work. You see a lot of people touting returns of someone like Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood is, for those of you who don't know, she's somebody that is the head of ARK Investing. ARK is a investment fund that has a lot of high growth, high innovation stocks in it, and she's done great over the last few years. And people are saying, "Whoa, is this the next Warren Buffett?" And I mean, it's really tough to say if somebody can. I mean, anybody can do well over a few year period, but people will try to beat the market over the long term, and probably like 90% of professional investors can't beat the stock market long term. And it took me, a lot of dabbling in the stock market myself, and buying and selling, and trying different things to really figure that out. So now what I tell people is I'm an index investor. So I just try to match the performance of the market by investing in S&P 500 funds. And for those of you who don't know, S&P 500. It's the 500 top companies in America, basically. You get Apple, Microsoft, Tesla actually just got added to it. And it costs almost nothing to invest in. And you touched on fees a little bit ago. The average fee for a S&P 500 fund, I think, is something like 0.05%. And it's essentially nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mentioned the target date fund T. Rowe Price puts us in. I actually did a post about the difference between fees on my Instagram, and a 1% fee and a 0.5% fee. The difference between those, if you invest about $6,000 a year, which is the max Roth IRA contributions, it can be about $200,000 over a 30-year period. So it's been, a journey, a lot of trial and error with investing for me, but I'd say that's the biggest mistake I made, is just trying to pick individual stocks and trying to, thinking I was smart in the market, because nobody's smart in the market.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. And you're in good company, because I done the same exact thing, and it just doesn't work. I don't have the bandwidth to compete at the level it takes to be good at that. I mean, there's a reason you know the name Warren Buffett. There's a reason you're familiar with the name Peter Lynch. They're so few and far between of people that can do this consistently over time. It just doesn't work. And so I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, getting into the mechanics a little bit of actually purchasing an index fund. Can you just explain where do I find this index fund? I hear a lot about it. I would love to get involved in it. I don't really know where to find it. How would I actually do that?
So there's a specific order you should invest in my opinion, and that starts with a Roth IRA. If you don't have one, it's basically the best tax-advantaged account that there is. You can contribute a max of $6,000 to it, and some great providers of Roth IRAs are Vanguard and Fidelity. And if you open one with them, usually they'll have, a pretty basic S&P 500 fund or target date fund, whatever it is. But for firefighters specifically, pretty much all of us are automatically invested in a 457 plan. Well, you already told me for you guys, it's a 401A plan for your newer people. If you go into that plan, there should be something that says index fund, S&P 500 fund. And what you can do is you can take the contributions from your paycheck, allocate that to an investment. And like I was saying before, the S&P 500 fund is usually the lowest cost and often best way to invest. It beats, I'll probably mention this a few times, it beats professional investors, 90% of the time. Study after study proves this.
That's perfect. Okay. So yeah, guys, if you're listening, and folks here in San Diego, we absolutely have this available to us, and others listening, you likely do as well. Just set up some auto deductions from your paycheck. Just do it. And if you're scared that money's already tight, the pandemic's been hurting, which it has, I understand. Start with a small amount. Start with the minimum amount that's allowed in your plan. Maybe it's 10 or 20 bucks a pay period. Do that. And by the third or fourth month, you're not even going to recognize the fact that it's taking some of that money out of your paycheck, and you're taking that money and you're investing in these really, really low cost funds that traditionally can beat a professional stock market picker. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's almost firefighter proof. Understand too, though, guys, that Patrick and I are firefighters. We're not certified financial planners. This is not advice. This is just our opinion on a really great way, an easy way of getting yourself in the market. It's kind of easy that way.
Yeah, that's a really great point you made there. We're not experts. We're not financial advisors. I always say it's a good idea to get in touch with a financial advisor, periodically, just to, check in, make sure you're on the right roadmap. But like Captain Smith here was saying, S&P 500 funds are pretty firefighter proof. The saying "dumb fireman" gets thrown around a lot, and this is pretty dumb fireman proof. It's the top 500 companies in America, and it's automatically diversified for you. You don't have to buy, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, whatever. It's all just contained within one fund. It's super easy, super simple,
Yeah,
and
it's
super
perfect.
cheap.
Yep. I've had a bunch of financial planners on the show, Patrick, and they all say the exact same thing. I'll link to that playlist here above. But they do, they say the same thing. Just keep it super simple, right? The old KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it super simple. If index fund, getting involved in an index fund is one way for somebody to sort of get down the path towards financial independence. Is there something else that you would tell them if they're interested in starting out, they're in a rut, they want to just get their feet moving? Is there something that you would tell them?
Well, this is one of the biggest financial mistakes I see people make, and that's buying a brand new car. I mean, you're the, I mean, you're the head of a training academy. I mean, I'm sure you see, the 22-year-old recruits. They just got their first job. What's the first thing they get? They buy a brand new truck. $53,000 car. And whenever I see that, I'm just, oh God. I mean, put it this way: would you buy a stock that's guaranteed to lose 10% when you purchase it and 20 to 30% in the first year? Probably not. So why would you buy a brand new car? So people that are listening to this are probably asking, okay, well, I'm worried about, repair costs. So why would I buy something that's, used, where I could just buy something new and not worry about it? Well, if you do your research and you buy a car that's, 2 to 3 years old, coming off a lease, you can get something that has one owner, has probably been taken very well care of, because they have to give it back to the car dealership, and you're getting something that's, still shiny and new, and it's, 30 to 40% less. So I'm not saying you have to drive, an 89 Honda Accord with 300,000 miles on it. You can still drive, a nice truck, but there's better ways to do it than, buying a brand new 2021 F-150 Raptor that's, this is 70 grand or whatever.
Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that you guys have the same problem out there in Fairfax County that we have in San Diego. And by the way, it sounds to me like you've been driving around some of our parking lot, our fire station parking lot.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, you drive around any fire station, I think anywhere in America, and just look at the number of trucks that are there. It's astounding. It's the same everywhere in the country.
Yeah, no, it's a cliche, but it is true, guys. There's really no sense in that, and it's staggering when you add everything up, just how expensive that is, and how much it can set you in the hole as you're trying to get down the path towards financial independence. So I really appreciate you saying that. Now, looking back, Patrick, if you could go back to sort of your rookie self, or the college version of yourself, is there a piece of advice you would give yourself?
I mean, I kind of touched on it before. I would say just not really realizing what compound interest is and how to utilize it. Um, I mentioned this before, but time in the market is far more important than how much you contribute. I did another Instagram post about this where it compares like a 20-year-old contributing, $1,000 a year into their Roth IRA, and someone who didn't start investing at all in a Roth IRA until they were 35, and the person that started at age 20 just contributing $1,000 a year has, after 30 years, far more money than somebody that was contributing even more money in their Roth IRA at 35. So I guess what I'm saying is time in the market is so important. So start early, invest what you can. I mean, even if that's just, like you said, $20, or if you're a firefighter, usually they do it by percentage. So even if you just do like 5% of your paycheck, I mean, it's automatically taken out of your paycheck. You're not even going to know it's there. And I just think about, if I had just been doing, all along what I've been doing now, which is putting 20% in, I could have been, so much further ahead financially than I am now. I mean, I'm doing okay, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I could have easily like been over $1 million net worth if I had just started doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, no, that's for sure, man. I hear that saying a lot. Don't wait to start. Just start now and then wait, and allow the power of compounding over time, the power of index fund investing over time, the power of the American economy over time help you get to your goals. And I just love that. And Patrick, I think with that, man, we got knocked down your first alarm.
Awesome.
Cool. So if people are looking to learn more about you, Patrick, where could they find you?
So basic financial literacy is my is my little social media platform I have. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and I don't have a website yet, but I'm working on contracting out somebody to do that for me. But Instagram is what I'm most active on, so definitely check me out there. I have lots of posts. I have little short videos that I make. I actually do have a YouTube channel as well that I just started. It's definitely still in its infancy though. So basic financial literacy, all lowercase, no spaces. Check me out there.
Awesome. I'll link to all that stuff in the show notes. Patrick, I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for your service to the folks there in Fairfax County and all the information you've given us today.
All right. Thanks for having me, Captain. I appreciate it.
You got it. All right. Hey, thanks again to Patrick for meeting me here in the bullpen. Man, it is awesome to hear another firefighter all the way across the country just totally getting after it on the path towards financial independence. His key points about investing in index funds and not trying to time the market, but just spend time in the market is just perfect. Low cost, low fee index funds is the way to go. If you'd like to learn more about Patrick, you can find him on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter at Basic Financial Literacy. If you'd like to learn more about us, we're on Facebook at the FIREhouse. That's f.i.r.e.house. On Instagram, the _fire_house. On LinkedIn, the FIREhouse Investors, or any place you listen to podcasts. If you learned something today and you'd like to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe. But no matter what you do, take this information, go out there, and get some. Station F.